Why, hello, everybody. This is Eric Virathaler of Sit Down by the Fire. I am here with my returning guest. Please introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Lewis Santer, and well, I'm known for a few characters now, but I'm mainly known for portraying Tigger in the cult classic horror film Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2.
But yeah, I certainly greatly appreciate you sharing that, and I also appreciate you taking time out of your day to be here.
I appreciate it. Yeah, it's good to be back. Good to be back.
Oh yeah, certainly, yeah, and yeah. Last time that you came on, your uh, your role, like in Winnie the Pooh, like was your first, and it was your only film at that time. But ever since then, you and then have gone on to do other roles. And so yeah, and so how about that? You tell my audience about all of these other roles.
Yeah, so obviously when we spoke, yeah, it was about a year ago now, wasn't it? Or longer. It was quite a while ago. And I just did Tigger. That was the only one I had. But since then,
Mhm.
I've done a couple other horror films. I've done bits and bobs. So I've done a couple of other horror films. I've done a TV show. Done some stunt jobs, which is always really fun. That's another thing I like to do. Done some commercials, some modelling. So I've sort of gone different avenues, not just horror. But I feel like maybe if I can think of one role that I think this audience might know me for, is maybe Mad Hatter in Fairest of Them All. So I did that.
Mhm.
That was last summer. We filmed that. That was a lot of fun playing Mad Hatter. I've done some other little horror bits as well, some other horror films. Also helped out on Pinocchio Unstrung.
Nice.
Can't say too much about that one, but I was a puppeteer on that film. That was really fun. But like I said, I can't really say too much. But my lips are sealed on that one. But yeah, in terms of ones I can talk about, probably the Mad Hat has been the most sort of, I guess, sort of popular one in terms of what I've done since Winnie Two. So yeah.
Nice, yeah, and so uh, yeah, and that's all definitely very, very exciting. And yeah, and one of the movies that I know that you've done recently, like, is one of the movies that I know you've done recently, like, is the Mouse of Horrors.
Yes, that's one of the horror films I did. Yeah, that one was before Fairest of Them All. That was earlier. It was early 2024. We did that one. What month was it? I don't even know. But yeah, that was earlier in the year. So that was another horror film, another killer that I played, which was it's always fun playing a killer. So yeah.
Oh yeah, certainly so. And yeah, and so I think it's supposed to be Mickey Mouse, but it's just that I just have the feeling that they just couldn't call him Mickey Mouse because of legal reasons. Would I be right in saying that?
I think so. I'm not too sure about the ins and outs in terms of the legal stuff. That's the thing. Sometimes you get hired as an actor, you're not too sure. You're sort of given the script, you're given the character, and this is the look, and this is what we want you to do. So
Uh,
sometimes,
that's fair, yeah.
unless you ask, I guess I didn't really look too much into it. 'Cause I know I'm called the killer, like the official sort of character's name, I guess, on like IMDb and stuff is the killer. So I'm guessing that's what sort of the name that's given to him. But I don't know if he even has a name. Like he's that sort of crazy character that's sort of a bit mysterious and so yeah. But yeah, I'm not too sure about the legal because I know sort of Mickey Mouse is now in public domain, but I don't
Yes,
know. But I think you
yes,
have to call him Steamboat Willie or something like that. But like I said, my
yes.
knowledge on all that kind of stuff isn't actually surprisingly not that good. Because when you're an actor, like it just sort of you're there to do the job, I guess.
Yeah, which I would say that that is completely fair. And I
Yeah.
mean, considering that both you and I like definitely are not copyright lawyers, and so and then therefore that is completely out of our expertise. But
Yeah.
as far as what I understand, uh, the only thing Mickey Mouse related that is in the public domain, like, is just his first appearance.
Okay. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so everything else, like with his iconic red shorts and all that, that
Yeah.
is not yet in the public
Yeah.
domain.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's interesting. I think when you do look into it, it's very interesting. What sort of what versions of these characters are in public domain, and what can you do with them in terms of how limited it is and stuff like that. It's interesting. It's interesting, definitely.
Oh, it is, yeah. And and honestly, as soon as that went public domain, I knew that they were going to make a Mickey Mouse horror movie. And what do like, there was Mouseboat Massacre, which
Yeah,
is what I know that Natasha's a part of. There also was the Mousetrap, and yeah,
yeah.
and there's been a
Yeah,
lot of
there's
them.
quite a few now. Yeah, yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy seeing sort of I mean, these films. Obviously, when I first came on Winnie Two, it was more. It was just like these guys doing it, like Scott and Reese and stuff like that. And then it's interesting to see like you'd be on Instagram one day and you'd just be scrolling or whatever, and then you'll see another film, like not just Mickey Mouse, like another, fairy tale sort of old cartoon character, and you see another one pop up on your Instagram, and you think, oh, someone's doing a film on that now, okay, and it's like,
Mhm.
I just find it funny, but it's really cool. Like I've done how many now? Three now. And obviously we got that Poohniverse coming up, so I find it really fun. Like I've said before, I think it's really cool that people are doing these kind of movies. So I love it. So I always find it quite funny, and just find it cool that when I do see like another company doing their own sort of fairy tale horror film, and yeah, I think it's cool.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, certainly. And then I can imagine that for you,
Hmm.
and now let's say that for argument's sakes that your character in Mouse of Horrors is supposed to be Mickey Mouse, but they just couldn't call him that, and so then that would mean that you got to play not just one iconic character like in Winnie the Pooh, but you also got to play the Mad Hatter, and of course, and of course even like with Mouse of Horrors, and so yeah, and so
Mm.
I can imagine that that must be a pretty awesome feeling knowing that you got to play not just one iconic character.
Hmm. Yeah, it's funny because it's if you look at my characters I've played now, like you look at like you see Tigger, you see Mad Hatter, and I also did I did a Sidemen. Do you know like the YouTube group Sidemen? I worked with them on a project and it was really fun. This was like last summer, and my character was Ultron from the Marvel films, but it's like a silly version of Ultron, and so it's quite funny if you look at my characters now. I've got like Tigger, I've got Mad Hatter, I've got Ultron. It's like all these like just characters that are actually big characters elsewhere, but I've sort of had my own version of these characters. So it's quite amusing to me that that's sort of my character list uh, at the moment, which is yeah, I like it, to be honest. I think it's cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And so and therefore it really sounds like that ever since Winnie the Pooh came out,
Mhm.
it definitely really sounds like that your acting career really has been, like it really sounds like it really has been taking off, and that is fantastic.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, honestly, I mean, I was so lucky that obviously I'm so grateful to this day that I was in that was a part of Winnie 2. And obviously it was like my first movie role. I did some stage stuff just before it, but in terms of movie roles or stuff on screen, that was my first one. And like I've always said, and I say it to this day, Tig is still like my favorite character I've ever portrayed. And because he felt like my dream character, like my own sort of like Mad Hatter, for example, I based a lot of like the Joker, which is really cool. But in terms of I don't know, with Tigger, I just felt like I love Freddy Krueger and I love Pennywise and also Art the Clown, and I love like animalistic sort of characters. So all these things I just love, all rolled up into one character. So for me, that still feels like my perfect sort of character, and obviously he's coming back, and I can't wait to portray him again in the future. But yeah, like you said, since then it's been crazy in terms of like that with acting, it's a crazy career, it's a crazy industry to be in. You never know what's around the corner. But yeah, but just super grateful.
Oh yeah, certainly. And so you were mentioning that your role as the Mad Hatter actually is based off of the Joker, and I'm just curious, is because there's multiple versions of the Joker, like there's the Joaquin Phoenix one, there's the Heath Ledger one, there's the
Mhm.
Jack Nicholson one, and so on and so forth. And so with your portrayal of the Mad Hatter, which version of the Joker did you base your performance off of?
It's a really good question, actually. It's a very good question because obviously there's also another character as well, Doomhead. I don't know if you know Doomhead from the Rob Zombie film 31. That was another big
Yes.
inspiration for this character as well. So he was also someone else in there. That character, Richard Brake's character, was a big inspiration. And then the rest of it was just Joker. But in terms of the Joker, I looked at different versions of the Joker, which is quite funny. So I looked at like Mark Hamill's one for like how theatrical he is, and I wanted Mad Hatter to feel because this is my way. I sort of approach this character as like this is a crazy world it's set in anyway. There's killer princesses and everyone's a bit murderous and there's magic and there's all these powers and stuff. And the Mad Hatter's got to be. I feel like he's the Mad Hatter. He's got to top that craziness. It was like being crazy in a crazy world. Does that make sense? So like
Yeah, yeah.
I had to go. even overboard, like what they're doing, like proper over the top. So I looked at like Mark Hamill's because it's very theatrical. But I took little bits from other Jokers, like for example, Barry Keoghan's version in the Batman, the Robert Pattinson film. Obviously, he's only got like 2 scenes, and one of them was a deleted scene. But I loved his laugh. Like I remember when I watched the deleted scene on YouTube, and I was just like, that laugh is incredible. Like when Batman's walking out of the interrogation room, and he's just laughing after him. I don't know what it is about his laugh. I thought it was great. So I kind of not exactly the same, but I used his laugh as my laugh for the Mad Hatter.
Hmm.
I used like the body movement. I very much like Mark Hamill's Joker, but also I've probably put in a bit of Heath Ledger in there. I've put it from like the sloppiness and the dirtiness of him and all that kind of thing, and like a bit of maybe Joaquin Phoenix in there at some point. Like I've sort of taken different bits from different Jokers to make my own version. But I'd say Mark Hamill's in terms of movement, and then yeah, Barry Keoghan's was big for the voice, not for the voice, sorry, for the laugh. So yeah, so bits of different Jokers in there.
Nice. And which I find a really big coincidence about how when you mentioned Richard Brake, because from what I
Mhm.
heard, I believe that in the Pinocchio horror movie that you just mentioned, I believe
Mhm.
that they announced that he actually got cast in that.
Yeah, he's in that. Yeah, that has been announced. So yes, I can say that. So yes, he is in that along with Robert England. So I can announce that, but nothing else. I don't think. Yeah, lips are sealed. Yeah, you get
Yeah, exactly.
it.
Because since I'm a part of the entertainment industry as well, it's something that I totally understand that when it comes to NDAs, you do not want to mess around
Yeah, no, of
those at
course
all.
not. Yeah, and yeah, it's a surprise as well for the fans and stuff. Do you know what I mean? So it's like
Yeah.
you want to watch movies spoiler free, and you know what I mean, just sort of you want to go in there blind as you will, you know. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's because nobody ever wants to have a movie be spoiled, spoiled for them. Because on the day that I went to go see the original Sonic, on the day of, a friend of mine actually gave away a really big spoiler for that. I was like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
On the
Yeah.
day of,
Yeah, it always sucks, man. I mean, I think what film was it? I think it was Star Wars: The Force Awakens.
yeah,
When that came out, I was quite young then. What year was that? What year did it come out? I don't know.
2015. So that was 10 years ago now.
So I was 14 or 15. And I remember walking into the cinemas, and there's like a cinema sort of nearish to my school where like people used to hang out. And I was going to the cinema with one of my friends, and then another one of my friends. I think I didn't know he was going, but he was coming out the screen of the movie of like the showing of Star Wars just before my one. And as he was coming out, we're sort of passing each other, and I'm like, "Oh, you're right, mate." And then he just basically told me, he said, "Oh, Han Solo dies." And I went, fuck. I was like, brilliant. As I'm literally walking, I remember this because it's still to this day, I'm a bit, I mean, it's still a bit raged by it. But yeah, I remember walking in, and as he went past me, he went, "Yeah, Han Solo dies, by the way." I thought, brilliant.
I
I thought,
would have
that's
been
good.
so mad.
Yeah, so I mean, I know I'm not spoiling the film. It came out 10 years ago now.
Right,
But
of
yeah,
course.
that sucks because I remember thinking, is he lying? Is he joking or not? But the whole time, it's on the back of your mind that he's gonna die, and obviously then he does, and you think, right, I knew that. So yeah, that sucked. Yeah.
Yeah, it does. And I'm really sorry that you had that experience. But hey,
I'm over it
I
now, I
heard
think.
of a, but I heard of, just by coincidence, I heard of a story about the exact same movie, like where there were a whole group of fans waiting to see that movie, and then
Yeah.
somebody just got out of it, and then they yelled to those fans saying, "Oh, Han Solo dies!" But those fans took it to the absolute extreme, and then they actually beat him up, and I'm like,
Yeah, no, I
I
wasn't
don't
gonna
know,
do that. Yeah,
dedicated
yeah,
fans.
yeah. That's a bit crazy. Yeah, I wouldn't. I wasn't gonna, do that after. But yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Like I definitely would not have taken it that far, but I'm not
yeah,
saying what they did was okay, but I definitely do understand why though.
yeah. No, I get the rage, I guess, because I felt that same rage.
I also do, yeah. That's how I felt about getting Sonic spoiled
Mm,
for me. And I mean, especially considering that I've been a big Sonic fan for practically my entire life. And so yeah, and so I definitely do get it. It's a
mhm.
property that you're very passionate about and you're really excited to see that film. And so yeah, it really sucks to have it be spoiled.
Yeah, man. Yeah, happens though.
It does, yeah, man.
Yeah.
It just makes me feel old knowing that Revenge of the Sith came out 20 years ago, and The Force Awakens was 10 years ago. Wow, that
Yeah,
does not seem right at all.
it just came back out in cinemas, didn't it? Revenge of the Sith. They did like a one-off showing, didn't they, for one night in the cinemas or something?
Uh,
They did it. They
I
did it in this country. They did like was it end of April? I think they showed it. I couldn't make it because I remember looking at it online, and I was busy doing something. So I couldn't go and watch it. But Revenge of the Sith is like my
that's
favorite. Is my favorite Star Wars film. So I would have loved to see it in cinemas again, but I don't know. I couldn't have made it, which is really
that's a
annoying.
shame.
But yeah, 20 years ago. Yeah, so I was like 5 when that came out, which is crazy.
Wow, that's
Yeah, and it's still
crazy.
I love that
Yeah,
film to this day.
oh, it is. Yeah, and and a lot of people and and definitely you and I will fit into this category. But yeah, out of all movies in like from episodes 1 to 3, a lot of people that definitely will say that that one was the best one.
Yeah, I'd agree. So yeah, I'd agree with that definitely. Yeah, it's my. I feel like I grew up in that one as well. Like obviously it came out when I was like 5, so it was like a big part of my childhood. And then I just never really outgrew it. Like I still would watch it to this day, and still enjoy it just as much. Love the characters in it. Love the story of that one. Just I love that the characters in the other films, but in terms of the movie as a whole, that's definitely my top one.
Oh yeah, certainly, and yeah, and just all of the hype surrounding both movies. It was insane.
Yeah, yeah, man. I can imagine. Obviously, I was very young when it came out, but I can imagine the hype was insane at the time. Yeah, be cool
Yeah,
to see it in the cinema.
yeah, and yeah, and I remember at that time that I was pretty young too, and so yeah, I like everybody at school was talking about it, and everybody was all hyped up about it, and yeah, and of course, when I went to go watch in the theaters when I was waiting in line, I actually do remember seeing some people actually having like those toy lightsabers and having those lightsaber battles like in lines. So yeah,
Yeah,
and of course, the same thing happened, and the same thing happened 10 years later with the Force Awakens.
yeah, yeah. No, I feel like it got a worse reaction those films though. But I remember the hype sort of because obviously I was like 15, 14 at the time. I remember the hype around those films, but I feel like yeah, there was the reaction wasn't as good. I feel like people didn't really enjoy those films as much. I don't think, but maybe that's a generation thing. I feel like people complained about the prequels when they came out, and then now they're like loved by those people that are now older, like myself. And it's maybe the same
Mhm.
with like the Force Awakens. I feel like maybe the younger people who watched it, maybe they yet to sort of grow up, and then they can sort of spread their opinion of the film. And then
Right,
does that make sense? I feel like Hayden Christensen, who played Darth Vader, is just now getting that recognition. Well, not just now, but like the last few years, getting
right, of
recognition
course.
for his role as Anakin. But obviously when it came out, he says how much hate he got, and people just did not like the way he portrayed the character, and so it's a shame. But like, I think maybe that was like an older generation sort of reacting, comparing it to the prequels, and then
Hmm.
now it's like the people like us who grew up with the sequels, and now we're now old enough to go out there and say, "Oh my god, we loved it," and obviously, like people, obviously he's flooded at conventions now. Like I saw a little video
Oh yeah.
on Instagram, I think the other day, of him doing some speech or some conference at a convention, and it was just absolutely packed and people just screaming his name, and it's just like but he deserves it. Like he's sort of he's probably now just getting the recognition that he deserved for those films.
Oh yeah, certainly. And yeah, and if you thought that Hayden Christensen got hate at that time, I mean, I forget her name. She was the one who played Rose in episode 8, The Last Jedi. I mean, she got so much hate, like where she actually had to get rid of her social media
Oh really? I
account.
didn't know that.
So yeah, that's
Yeah,
pretty
that's sad.
sad.
Yeah, I don't know if that is that character, but my knowledge on the sequels isn't that good. I haven't really watched them all at once in like in cinemas. So, but yeah, that's not good. Yeah, that's when it goes too far.
Definitely, yeah. And it's just a real shame. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's like you really just truly just can't please everybody.
Yeah, yeah, that's it, man. That is it.
Exactly. Yeah. And, and unfortunately, even when all of you guys made the Winnie the Pooh horror movies and all of these other movies based off of childhood properties being turned into horror films,
Hmm.
and now, of course, there were people like me, like who got all super excited about it. But on the other side of that coin, there also were those saying, oh well, how dare you do this to our childhood?" But ultimately, when people say that,
Hmm.
while they have every right to have their opinion about the matter, but when they say that, what they actually mean to say without realizing it is that they are not the target market.
Yeah, and that's it. And obviously, when I first came into this film and got the role of Tig, obviously it was a question that I got asked in a few interviews, and and to this day I still get asked it. Obviously, a lot about like how do you feel about obviously the first film got a lot of hate, and I feel like I personally haven't received anything like, which is I'm very grateful for that. Like sort of
Mm-hmm.
maybe because I think the shock factor sort of went away with the second one. I think the first one had that shock factor when people were like just in disbelief. Some people. But
Mm-hmm.
I've always said how I just think it's great that now you can enjoy these characters in a different light, and I've always said that, and I feel like that it's like I wouldn't be watching Winnie the Pooh or Tigger or Owl or Eeyore or any. Do you know what I mean anymore at my age? Because it's just a bit strange if I still watch the cartoons. So I find it really
Right.
cool that you can now still enjoy these classic characters, but you enjoy them in a different light. I know like now they're bloodthirsty killers, but that's something that I would be watching at my age. I mean, at the age of 24, I would be watching that, but like I'm not going to be watching the cartoon version anymore. So I think it's cool that you can sort of enjoy these characters just in a different world. So yeah, I think I like it. And I grew up with like Winnie the Pooh. I grew up like I had all the toys when I was really young. Like I've still got some of the toys I think in the wardrobe somewhere. Like generally keep like your childhood stuff. And I'm the one playing Tigger. So it's like, and I have no problem with it. I think it's cool. Like it's like I can now watch these films and yeah, like I said, enjoy these characters in a different spotlight.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, how many people can actually get to say that they got to play a character in a movie, like a character who they loved as a child?
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy, man. Like I always say, like it's sort of manifested a little bit throughout my life because they're like Tigger was my favorite character, and I've still got like this sort of this animatronic sort of Tigger toy that was at my nan's, and she brought it out when I got the role, like to remind me, and I had like Tigger sort of like what do you call it, like soft toys and merchandise. I had a load of stuff of it, and then Tigger was my favorite character as well. And then all throughout my life, I've been called Tigger as well because I'm quite like an energetic person. And like
Oh,
I've met people throughout my life that have actually referred to me as Tigger because of that. And it's like, and then when I got the role, it's quite funny when I first got the role and I sort of told like close friends and family and stuff that I was being cast as this, demonic version of Tigger in this horror film. Most people were like, "Oh, I see that. Like, I see that." There's like some people that are like shocked, like, "Wow, that's really cool. That's so interesting." And there's some people that are like, "Yeah, I can see why you got cast as that." And I'm like, "What does that mean?" Like, I think it's because I'm quite energetic and I'm a bit bouncy anyway. So when I explained to them I've been cast as this horror version of Tigger, they were like, "Yep, makes sense." So I feel like all my life I've
yeah.
sort of been seen as this sort of I've fit in the same category of that sort of character. So it's quite funny. And then like yeah, I've been called it. I've had the toys. He was my favorite character growing up. So it's quite cool that I'm now playing him, and obviously he's based off horror icons that I love as well, which is cool. So that's what I mean by like it's sort of this perfect little combination of a character for me.
Yeah, and so then therefore it definitely can be said with all that stuff from your past, it definitely was a foreshadowing of what
Mhm.
was to come afterwards.
Yeah, yeah. If someone told me like when I was 5 years old playing with Tigger, like, "Oh, you're gonna play a horror version of him in 20 years," you'd be like, "What?" But like, yeah. But now it makes sense, man. Like it's just been manifested my whole life.
Yeah, exactly. And all of this thanks to the public domain.
Yes, yeah, of course, yeah, yeah. Yeah. But no, it's been obviously it's a great character, and very grateful to have played him, and can't wait to play him again.
And from what I heard, I don't know if you're allowed to announce this, but I have a feeling that you are, since that the movie's already announced. I do know that they announced a Poohniverse movie.
Yes,
So
yeah.
yeah.
Poohniverse has been announced, yeah. So that's. I still don't know how much information's been sort of shared about that film, but yeah, it's obviously been announced, and there's a lot of returning characters, like myself included, and there's obviously a lot of new characters as well. But I feel like the guys have sort of let out little characters here and there, like Mary Poppins, I think's been confirmed. I'm not too sure about other characters that have been confirmed at the moment, so I don't want to say too much. But I know they're sort of letting out bit by bit who's going to be in it. But all I'll say is that the fans should be very excited because I've heard like little ideas for it and stuff like that, and it's just going to be crazy. It's going to be insane, but it's just going to be awesome as well. So yeah, if you're a fan of this franchise, then I'll just say be very excited for Poohniverse.
Oh yeah, definitely. So, would you possibly know when fans can see the film?
When they can see the film, I'm not too sure on the release date. No, I'm not too
Okay.
sure. Obviously, I could throw out like a rough date out there, but I don't want to mislead anyone. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to just
Right,
say,
of
"Oh, it'll
course.
be this time," but then people might start waiting for that time. So I'm not really in the position to say when it's coming out. I think I'd say like next year, perhaps. Do you know what I mean? But I don't really know an exact month or anything, or sort of even a season. But it's they're working on it. So obviously we've got like Peter Pan's obviously just come out. Bambi's coming out in the summer, I believe, and then you got Pinocchio as well coming out later on. So there's other like films coming that can be very exciting and they're going to be incredible. And then by the time they've come out and people have enjoyed them, then there'll be like Poohniverse, bang, landing there. So yeah.
Nice. Well,
Mhm.
yeah, I am definitely really excited for the movie, and I definitely love the title, and I also love how the poster clearly is poking fun at. Yeah, it's definitely clearly poking fun at the Avengers films.
Yeah. It's that kind of vibe in terms of the title and the monsters assemble, that kind of thing. But one thing I love about it is that what Scott and Reese have said before on other interviews and stuff, and I've heard them say that how like this is something they'd want when they were growing up, and I sort of can relate with that a lot. Like the whole sort of Freddy versus Jason thing is obviously a really cool film, it's a really cool concept, and obviously the Avengers happened, but that's obviously for superheroes. So like it's a really cool concept thinking, you know, could this happen with like horror icons? Like imagine like sort of like Freddy, Jason and Ghostface and also, you know,
Hmm.
Jigsaw and I don't know who else, Pennywise, that kind of thing. So it's really cool that now we're doing this kind of movie where it's like there's characters here that people love from these films and also from their childhood, and now it's a big mashup of them, and it's sort of that that Avengers style, Freddy versus Jason style kind of movie, and it's definitely something I would want to watch when I was younger, even now.
Hmm.
So it's cool to be a part of something like that.
Oh yeah, certainly. And and seeing how much money Freddy versus Jason made, I mean, as
Mhm.
far as what I remember, that
Mhm.
is the highest grossing Freddy movie, and it's the highest grossing Jason movie,
Wow,
which
didn't know
makes
that.
sense. I mean, it does make sense considering that that it's not just one IP, it's two,
Yeah.
and so then therefore, if they would have made something like what you're doing with the Pooh universe with all of these other horror icons, all meeting into one with Michael Myers, Chucky, Pinhead, Pennywise, Freddy,
Mhm.
Jason, all that.
Yeah.
It definitely could have made a lot of money. And and I get it that all these characters like are not all owned by the same company, so that would be harder to pull off.
Mhm.
And but at the same time, if they would have found some sort of deal to make that happen, it could make a lot of money.
Yeah, it's a good point as well. Like in terms of like the fans, for example, like you got there'll be some people that just want to watch Nightmare on Elm Street, obviously, because they're Freddy fans, and then the same with Friday the 13th because they're Jason fans. So it's cool that that there might be more fans. For example, like Blood and Honey 2, it's got a much different vibe to Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare, and I'm sure there's fans that enjoy both films and the first one as well, the first Winnie. But it's cool that there's obviously going to be fans that prefer the Winnie 2 because obviously Winnie 2 is more sort of popcorn fun. Do you know what I mean? A bit more
Mhm.
sort of that kind of vibe. And then Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare is more of a darker vibe. So there's going to be people that prefer either one. So it's cool that they are now, and obviously with Bambi and Pinocchio coming out, they'll be maybe like subconsciously or consciously picking teams and like who they like more and who they want to win and this kind of thing. And obviously that's what happened with Freddy versus Jason. Like people, obviously there were years of those films, but it's the fact that people have obviously picked sides, and then you say that brings more fans in because there'll be people that like Peter Pan, there'll be people that like Pooh, people that like Pinocchio, and they kind of want to. Do you know what I mean? So you'd be attracting all these fans in to see their favorite characters, see how well they do in like a Royal Rumble
Mhm.
setting.
Right, yeah, and so
Yeah.
I actually went and saw the Peter Pan horror film in theaters, and yeah,
Mhm.
the actor who they got to be Peter Pan, it's Martin something. I
Martin
forgot
Putlock,
his
yeah,
last.
Martin, yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, he did an incredible job.
Yeah, he's incredible, Martin. Yeah, he's a good friend of mine now because like we met briefly on Peter Pan because I was on set for a day there to see everyone, which was a really cool day. And then we worked with each other on Pinocchio, so we were both puppeteers in that film. And yeah, we chatted a lot on that set. We had a really good laugh, me and him. He's really good to work with. And yeah, we're always messaging me and him like we're excited for Poohniverse. And he's a great guy. He's an incredible actor. But yeah, he absolutely nailed Peter Pan. Like I saw, obviously, I was there for the premiere, and I loved that film because I love dark films. Like I'm really a big fan of like that sort of vibe. And
Right.
that obviously that movie did just that. Like Scott absolutely killed it with that movie. So yeah,
Absolutely, yeah.
yeah, it's a great film.
Yeah, in my own opinion, you may or may not agree. What I thought was the creepiest scene, it was when Martin was on that school bus and he said to all the children, "Who wants to come to Neverland?" It's just the way how he said that and just his facial expressions. It sent chills down my spine.
Yeah, it's proper creepy but cool at the same time.
Oh,
And
it
that's
was,
what I
yeah.
think he was meant to. I think that's what he was going for. And yeah, he nailed it. He nailed it.
Yeah, and at the same time, Peter Pan, it already made sense to turn that into a horror film in the first place anyway, since
Hmm.
that, since that it's somebody like who goes after kids. So,
Yeah, yeah. I've heard a lot of people say that actually. When I sort of mention to people, oh, the new one they're doing is this is Peter Pan. People go, oh, that makes sense. I feel like Winnie was more of a shock factor because like there's nothing really sinister about Winnie the Pooh. I don't think. The fact that he's a bear, I guess maybe because obviously bears tend to be quite deadly, and same with tigers.
right.
But in terms of the story, there's nothing really sinister there. They're just like a load of friends, and they've got their own sort of issues, and they're sort of But then with Peter Pan, yeah, if you look sort of deep into the story, he is coming to like kids' bedroom windows and taking them off to Neverland and stuff like that in the middle of the night without the parents knowing. Like it's kind of sinister anyway. So whenever I
Exactly,
tell
yeah.
people, oh, they've done a horror film about Peter Pan's Never Nightmares just come out. Yeah, a lot of people go, oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. So it's perfect. It's a perfect story for a horror film. Yeah, it's great.
And yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm just really surprised by the fact that since Peter Pan has been in the public domain for a really long time, I'm just really
Mhm.
surprised that nobody thought of to do it. I'm just really surprised that nobody thought of to do it sooner.
Yeah. But I think what Scott's sort of vision for it was perfect in terms of like not just Peter Pan, but also for like Tinkerbell and all the other characters in it. So yeah, I think what they did though was really cool.
Oh yeah, certainly. And I also loved what they did to Captain Hook. And when I first
Mhm.
saw the movie, I was like, "That's Captain Hook!" Like, oh my
Yeah. Yeah,
goodness.
I loved Hook actually. Now, I mean, yeah, Hook was such a cool little like sort of thing. Obviously, popped up at the end, wasn't it? And yeah, I loved what they did with Hook. Really good sort of concept for like what he could be because he's the villain in the original Peter Pan, obviously. But like
Mhm,
when you make, I did think this as well when I went into it. I sort of knew some details of it already, but I was thinking, I wonder how sort of he fits into the story because now Peter Pan's the villain. So like, is he now
mhm.
the hero? What is he? And then like sort of making him like a victim like that, I thought was really cool. And the design as well, like he looked incredible. So yeah,
Oh yeah.
Hook was a really cool character actually. Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. And and all of the makeup they did for
Mhm.
it was absolutely incredible. And and it actually was probably the best idea, like to make Peter Pan the bad guy, and then Hook, more of the victim. It's because in
Yeah.
almost every incarnation of Peter Pan, Peter Pan's always the good guy, and Hook's always the bad guy. And so
Hmm.
therefore, just to keep things interesting, I actually do appreciate it at that they reversed it.
Yeah. I think it's really cool. And even like little things like the crocodile's been in it quite a lot. Like obviously it's not an actual physical crocodile in the film, but like obviously I don't want to spoil it too much. I feel like I'm saying a lot about the film, but like I know like there's probably quite a few people that haven't seen it. But like I'm not gonna say where the crocodile is, but like that kind of the use of like images of crocodiles and stuff, obviously it's like a big thing in the original story as well. So just little things like that I thought was really cool. So yeah, all round, just incredible film. I absolutely loved it.
Oh yeah, certainly. And I mean, it would have been cool if they actually, had it like an actual crocodile in the movie rather than, on the TV. But at the same time, I totally do understand that because of budget constraints that would have been a lot more
Well, you could
practical.
get prosthetics. You know what I mean? If they need a crocodile on the next one, I might put myself forward and
Yeah, yeah.
getting prosthetics as a crocodile. I might suggest that idea next time. Yeah.
I actually just thought of this now that you mentioned that. So in Winnie 2,
Mhm.
they actually did explain that Winnie and all the other characters actually were children who were kidnapped, and then
Mhm.
like then got mutated into their characters.
Yeah.
They definitely could do something like that, but
Yeah.
instead with crocodiles.
He'd be a bit like Killer Croc from Batman, which is kind of cool. That's
Yeah,
that's where my brain went
exactly.
to. And Killer Croc's a really cool character. So yeah, that would be potentially. You never know with these films. Like they're it's definitely something that would work in that kind of world. So yeah, that'd be really cool actually. Yeah.
Oh yeah, certainly. I mean, it definitely would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, and it'd just be a cool addition. I mean, Killer Croc's like one of my favorite Batman villains. So, and in a world where there's obviously like Tigger, who's obviously half man, half tiger, and obviously along with Pooh, who's like half man, half bear, and so on and so forth. So it makes sense if you had a half man, half crocodile, and it'd probably look really cool as well.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. And I mean, I know that we did get Killer Croc in Suicide Squad, but it's just a real shame that we haven't yet seen Batman actually fight against him in a film.
Yeah, and I feel like also in the comics he's massive, isn't he? Killer Croc. Like the version in Suicide Squad was he was cool, but in like I like the version in like the Arkham games where it's like this absolute like hench killer, like he's absolutely massive in it and a real
Mhm.
tough sort of opponent for Batman. I think that'd be cool if we could see that in like a live action film. That'd be very cool.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's like, look, I do get it that the Joker is a very popular character, and so therefore he is very marketable. But at the same time, it definitely would be nice to to get to see some of Batman's other villains, actually get a shot.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. I think there's more Batman films. Isn't there another one in the works or something? I think there is at the moment. So it'd be cool to see obviously there's so many villains, like Batman villains. Obviously the Joker's number one. He's my favorite as well. But I think yeah, it'd be cool to see other Batman villains. I think in future films.
Oh yeah, definitely. And one of the things that I've been saying is that they definitely should try to redo Mr. Freeze.
Yeah, Mr. Freeze would be cool. I think there's a lot of different versions of him in like video games and stuff. That like honestly, there
Mhm.
was Arnie's version. But yeah, I feel like there's versions of like the Arkham games that are really cool, quite sinister sort of versions, and that would be cool to see in a film.
Oh yeah. So with that being said, if you were to cast a new version of Mr. Freeze, who would you cast?
That's a good question. Like a fan cast sort of thing. Any
Yeah.
sort of actor. Uh, that's a really good question. I mean, in like the Arkham games, he's got that sort of He's quite slim. But he's got like a cool scientist sort of vibe to him. So I feel
Hmm.
like someone with that, like, I don't know, who's an actor that I like watching at the moment. Um, Maybe like I don't know. Me? No. Maybe
Yeah.
Pedro Pascal would be cool. Something like that. I don't know. Maybe
Right.
something like that kind of vibe. Because I've just seen him in the new Fantastic Four trailer, and he's got that cool scientist vibe going on with Mister Fantastic. I just watched the trailer like yesterday, whatever it was,
Hmm.
and that'd be cool. That like in a villain version, like Mister Freeze. And Mister Freeze, correct me if I'm wrong, but he's not actually really that bad of a guy, is he? Like he's a bad guy,
No.
but like there's like his origin story is a bit more. You can sort of sympathise with him a little bit more, can't you? I think this is just from memory from like
Yeah.
reading the comics, but like with the Joker, for example, he's just like batshit crazy. So like you can't really sympathise with that. But with Mister Freeze, he's yeah, there's a bit more to him, isn't there?
Yeah. Yeah. He's not doing it just for the sake of being evil. He's more so doing it simply because he loves his wife.
Yeah, I thought it was to do with that. Yeah, I thought it was to do with his wife. Yeah, see, that would be cool. Like a more complex character like that. who's that maybe you somewhat sort of not relate with but sympathize with. So you're sort of rooting for them, low key rooting for them, you know, like deep down.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, and now that you said it, I mean, if you shaved your head, I definitely can see you pulling that off. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that'd be cool. Yeah, I think any sort of Batman villain would be like. I mean, I always say when people ask me what's your dream character, I always say the Joker, and like that's why, for example, like Mad Hatter to me was a really cool character because it was like somewhat similar to the Joker. But yeah, any Batman villain, I think there's a whole lot of them, and a lot of them are very interesting, and they've all got cool backstories and like why they are the way they are. So yeah, any chance to get at playing a Batman villain and having my own sort of version of
Mm-hmm.
it, I'll jump at any of them. Mr. Freeze or Joker or like Victor Zsasz is really cool. Killer Croc, like we just mentioned, any of them really. So yeah, that'd be if I shaved my head, maybe I could do a Mr. Freeze, paint myself blue. Yeah.
Yeah, either that, or I guess if you wanted to, I guess you also could just wear a bald cap.
Yeah, maybe. It depends. Yeah. Depends how precious I am about the mullet. But I think if it was for a Batman villain, I'd shave it. Like I'd have no issue doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, and knowing that, and, knowing that it is hair, and now while granted, yes, it may take a while for it to grow back, but it
Yeah.
definitely eventually will. So.
Yeah, and I'm not precious about it. Like if it like I said, if it was for an amazing project like that, it would be off in 2 seconds. Do you know what I mean? I'm not precious about it. Yeah.
Right. And I just thought of this. So forget his name. He's the one in the X-Men movies, like who's in the wheelchair.
Okay. But the actor,
Yeah. I think it's Patrick
Patrick,
something.
oh my god, I've just got his
Patrick.
name. Oh my god, what's his name?
Yeah, it's Patrick something. But yeah, but
Uh,
if they cat, but
I
yeah,
have to
but
remember.
if they cast him as Mr. Freeze,
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah, it's a good fan cast. Yeah. It's an interesting fan cast because you see them on Instagram a lot, and it's like you see these little. Some of them you agree with, and some of them you think, "What are people thinking?" Like, why? Do you know what I mean? But I guess like this happens a lot in the industry. You get people get cast as characters, and you think that's not going to work, and then they do it, and you think, "Wow, it worked! Like it really fucking worked." Like for example, I was really young when this film came out, but it's my favorite film of all time, The Dark Knight. Like
Hmm.
obviously, as people know, when Heath Ledger first got cast, like there was backlash when there's a lot of backlash. A lot of people
Oh, it
saying,
was intense.
yeah, a
Yeah.
lot of people saying this is not the Joker. Like, what the hell are you doing? Like he was sort of known as like the romance sort of actor. Do you know what I mean? Like the love interest sort of actor. And then I mean, look what he did with that. So it's like you just never know. Like you see some of these fan casts or people that are getting put forward for roles, and you think, no, they can't do this. That's not their casting. And then they challenge themselves and they go for it. And then sometimes it comes out better than someone who would have been suited for it. Because it's completely something your brain can't even expect. To see.
Yeah, and it's just a real shame by knowing the fact that Heath Ledger never got to live to see just how much he proved people wrong. I mean, he proved them wrong so much that he won an Oscar.
Yeah. It's well deserved as well. Like that performance is like that performance is
Absolutely, yeah.
one of the performances that got me into acting. So when it came out, I was about 8 years old at the time, and I couldn't watch it in cinemas because I was too young. But we got the DVD and I watched it at home, and I think I watched it like to this day. I watched it maybe 500 times. Like I've seen that film so like I used to have it on repeat. I'd come home from school and put that film on, and I'd do like an activity, like homework or whatever, and I'd have it on. And that like his version of the Joker is one of the big inspirations for me becoming like an actor. Like when I decided I want to become an actor, I was about 11 or something. And this is after watching the film maybe like 50 times already. And then I started watching it more and being like looking at him, thinking I want to do stuff like that. Like I want to be these sort of characters is what I want to do. And then yeah, so he had a big part to play. Heath Ledger and his role as Joker was a big part to play in sort of me wanting to pursue this career.
Yeah, and from what I saw from some of the pics, like with you as the Mad Hatter, I
Mhm.
definitely did get a lot of Heath Ledger Joker vibes, and so honestly, hearing all that, it really does not surprise me.
Yeah. That's one thing with that the Mad Hat. I feel like, the like I said, the body movement was like Mark Hamill's and all this stuff. But in terms of the look and some of the things he did was very much like Heath Ledger because Heath Ledger went that greasy hair, sort of.
Mhm.
You can tell his character probably smelt like in that world. Do you know what I mean? That kind of vibe, the yellow teeth and stuff. And that's sort of the look they were going for with the Mad Hatter. Like I had black teeth and I had the greasy hair where it looks like the hat's just not come off his head like ever, and that kind of thing. So when I look at myself in the mirror, it definitely helps. And I had like the Fuller's Earth, which is like the sort of the face makeup. It goes all crusty and it makes your face feel tight and horrible.
Mhm.
And I think obviously I know he had like prosthetics for his smile and stuff, but that anything like that just makes you just sort of immerse yourself into this character so much more. And so yeah, I love the look of it and the feel of the look as well. It really helps with the character.
Yeah, and and I also just thought of this. So while it may not be the Joker,
Mhm.
but the inspiration for the Joker actually came from a film called The Man Who Laughs,
Mhm.
and that film went PD I think a year ago. And then therefore if you wanted to take advantage of that, and if you wanted to play that character,
Yeah,
you definitely could.
that would be the ultimate Joker. You're playing the character that the Joker's based off. So that would be like
Yeah.
the ultimate portrayal of the Joker. So yeah, if anyone's planning on making that film, then give me a call. I'm very interested. Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. And even though the character may not be a clown and all that, but
Hmm.
definitely with the character smile and the teeth, you can definitely see where they got the inspiration from.
Yeah, it's just that wide smile, and the wide smile and the sort of the creepiness, I guess, that kind of vibe that the Joker
Yeah.
sort of gives off, and the obviously the maniacal vibe as well. But yeah, I can see. But even like the clown, like obviously like Heath Ledger's one doesn't really scream clown to me. Maybe it does to you, but I feel like I don't know. Do you know what I mean? It just screams like this. I don't know. It's just this weird deranged look. There's like no real clown essence to him. I feel like it's just he looks more like I don't know, just I don't know, like more of a rock star. I don't know. Does that make sense? Like he's just the long greasy hair and this kind of vibe that he has. But yeah, I think
Yeah,
it'd be cool. It'd
that
be
is
cool to
fair.
sort of yeah, it'd be cool to sort of to have your own version of that of the Man Who Laughs because yeah, there'd be a lot to do with that as well because it's such an old film, so there'd be so much to play with. Do you know what I mean? It's like people aren't comparing it to too much, so it'd be cool to sort of have a play with that.
Oh yeah, certainly. And and even when Suicide, even like when Suicide Squad came out, the Joker in that, he didn't really feel like a clown in my own opinion, like
Mhm.
that. He definitely felt more like a gangster in
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I think they're going for the gangster sort of vibe. I think.
Yeah, which, and I mean, I also do get why that they wanted to do something different.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I feel like yeah, the grill and the chains and that kind of the tattoos and obviously there's a lot of club scenes and all that, and obviously he had this big apartment which is like really gangster sort of vibe. So I feel like that's probably what they were going for, and they're probably just trying something unique. I actually really liked his. I know a lot of people sort of felt differently about it. I actually really enjoyed his portrayal. I thought it was really good. I thought it was good. It was bold. It was a good to sort of try something so different to what we've seen before in terms of the comics and everything. But I can understand why people don't like it. Like I know it's very different from the classic Joker, but I think credit to them for trying something.
Yeah, exactly. And but yeah, a lot of people criticize. I mean, you can more so blame the marketing and not the film itself. All of the marketing was about the Joker, which makes sense since
Yeah.
that the Joker is a very marketable character and it's a
Yeah.
very well-known character.
Hmm.
But when you actually see the movie itself, he's
Yeah.
not really in it a whole lot. So
No, I remember when it was getting advertised. I actually remember I was in London at the time. I was about 16, and I remember I think I was actually like at an acting summer school sort of thing, like a summer. I was at Silver Young at the time, and I remember when it came out, and I remember seeing it on buses and stuff everywhere. And I've always been a Joker fan since, like I said, since The Dark Knight. So I was like since I was 8 years old. So I remember seeing his version in the trailer and on the billboards around London, on the buses and everything. I remember thinking, "Oh my god, it's gonna be so good!" And I watched it. I think in cinemas. I think in London during that week. When I think it was literally just coming out this week. And I remember watching it and thinking, like, he's barely in it. Like I was just waiting for him the whole time, and then he pops up obviously about quarter of the way through. It's just like a small little snippet of like their origin story, him and Harley. And that's it. There's about six little scenes in there of him, and that's about it. And I remember thinking like Yeah, the main story was I thought was okay. It wasn't really my cup of tea, but I liked his story. Like I liked the fact that he was chasing after him the whole time. So I wish they showed more of that. Like I wish they sort of showed. I think if they showed more of him as well, more people might have liked him because they showed so little. People didn't really have time to sort of see what he could do with it. Maybe I don't know. Maybe that's the reason.
Yeah, possibly, but yeah, and then even worse with all the follow up movies afterwards,
Hmm.
you never got to see Margot Robbie like with Jared. Again, and from what I heard, it's because that those two didn't really get along on set. I heard it was because that Jared would send out like gifts to all his cast members, like he sent out a dead rat, and
Yeah.
he used condom and bullets to other people, and people got really weirded out.
Yeah, no, I remember reading about that. Yeah, that's a bit. I guess that's method acting, but that's probably taking method acting too far. I think method acting is good if you're doing it for your own benefit and just sort of sticking to yourself and staying in that character. But I think when you start messing with other like actors on set, it doesn't. I don't think that's method acting anymore. That just becomes something else, you know. I think method acting is a great process. Obviously, I know it can be. It's got negative sides to it, obviously, but I think yeah, but the minute you start sending dead rats to, was it a dead rat? It was, wasn't it, a dead rat to cast members? It's just that's maybe taking it a bit too far. I think.
Yeah, I definitely do agree, and it's no wonder why that Margot Robbie refused to, like do more films with Jared Leto, which is why that for Birds of Prey, that's actually why that they wrote to the Joker off. Like they just said that those two separated, and yeah, I completely understand. And I mean, granted, it's a shame considering
Mhm.
that we finally got to see Harley Quinn in a movie, alongside with the Joker, because fans have been waiting a really, really long time to finally get to see that. And then we finally got it, and it's barely even in the movie. And then with all the other movies,
Mhm.
you
Yeah,
know,
they did get in a
it's
stunt
a real
guy, didn't
shame.
they? They got someone to play the Joker in Birds of Prey, but it was the back of him when it's the back of his head when he's doing the
Mhm.
tattoo in that guy's face. That like it's like a 2 second clip. I actually remember reading that. I remember seeing like they hired this actor who had like a similar, I don't know, a similar back of the head of Jared Leto. So they hired this guy with a similar build. His hair looked the same from the back, and then they just put on like the green hair, and they had like the back of him do that tattoo on that guy's face. So that was obviously their idea to try and cover it up.
Yeah, and and then knowing that it was from behind, it definitely made it a lot easier, to and then make people think that it is Jared Leto
Hmm.
when it's not.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think people weren't fooled. Like, do you know what I mean? You can just tell they're so obviously trying to hide his face, but also showing, oh, this is a little backstory bit that we had to throw in there quick. But I guess they tried. They tried to cover it up as best they could.
Yeah, exactly. Given the circumstances, considering that Margot Robbie refused to work with Jared Leto again, I
Hmm.
don't blame her. Because Jared pretty much traumatized her with those gifts.
Hmm.
But yeah, and then Jared, I know that he got to reprise his role like in Justice League, not in the theatrical cut, but but in the extended version. And
Yeah.
it is good that he got to reprise his role. But yeah,
Hmm.
but ultimately, since that they're rebooting the entire DC universe, very unlikely that we will ever see him back.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be back. No, I think
I
obviously
don't think.
Joaquin Phoenix now was done two versions or two movies as that Joker, and so he's already sort of down the line of and obviously Barry Keegan's obviously there's rumors he might be coming back for the Robert Pattinson sequel or the third one or whatever. So I think he's down the order now. I think Jared Leto's back there now in terms of Jokers. And they're probably looking for the next one. To be fair, if the next DC Joker, maybe me. I don't know. We'll see. That's yeah. I'm putting it out there. I'm putting it out there. It's
Yeah,
a cool
and
character. It's a cool character, and it's like it's more just like I want to sort of show the world my version of it. Like I've got ideas of how obviously Mad Hat was like my own sort of thing that that created there. But it'd be cool just to show the world my version of it, And this is how because it's like we said, there's so many different versions of it. Like Jared Leto's done the gangster vibe, and you got Joaquin Phoenix has done like sort of the more realism sort of side of it, and there's like sympathizing with him. Got Heath Ledger's like the real psycho, like sloppy one. You got Jack Nicholson's the more sort of, theatrical. So it'd be cool just to have my own spin on it. Like, what would I do with this character? And yeah, it'd be good to have the opportunity to show the world this is my Joker.
Yeah, and so I just thought of this. And so well, one of the things that you share in common with like the Jared with like the Jared Leto version, like, is that you both have tattoos.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and and so then with that said, if you were to do your version of the Joker, would that be something that you would have your version have?
Um, it depends really. It depends what sort of, because obviously I feel like almost all the Jokers are based somewhat of comic versions, aren't they? Like even Jared Leto's one, there is a comic version of the Joker where he's
Yeah,
got tattoos. There's one where he takes
yeah,
his shirt off and he's got this massive, huge dragon back piece and stuff like that, which is
yeah.
very not very Joker like. Like I don't think there's many versions where he has tattoos, but I think that's like the only one I can think of where it's a comic version. And obviously Jared Leto, they gave him loads. He had the neck and the forehead tattoo and all this and the hand tattoo. Um, I don't know. I feel like with my one, maybe not. I feel like I would like my Joker. I would like it to be more of a one where he's like in the. I like the suit. Like I like the suit vibe. Do you know what I mean? Like the tight fitted suit, like the Mark Hamill sort of suit. I like that. And if it's not that, I like him in like mine would. I like mine to be in like prison gear. I don't like a straight jacket or something like that. That's how I envision it anyway. I like the suit. I do like the suit. And obviously, yeah, I feel like the tattoos wouldn't go with that kind of vibe. With him, with Joe Leto, he had the open shirt, didn't he? He had like the crocodile jacket over like a bare top. So yeah, I feel like maybe it depends really. It depends. If and when I get cast, well, it depends what whoever that director is has in mind. They might say, well, yeah, we want this tatted up Joker. And I go, well, there we go. They might say, want you to shave your head. I don't know. We'll cross that bridge when it comes to it.
Yeah, and so I do know that I do know that Batman actually does go public domain in a few more years. It's just the catch is I don't believe that Alfred was in the first comic book appearance. I don't believe he had the Batmobile. There was no Robin.
Okay.
So, there will be those loopholes. But now I'm curious. So when does Joker become public domain?
Oh, I don't know. He was only meant to be like a one-off character, which is really interesting.
Yeah. So
But I remember reading about it. They put him in as like a one-off a character they thought they'd put in this one comic and it'd be done. And this is I don't know what year it was. I don't know if you found out there, but I think he got so popular and had such a good reaction. They were like, let's keep this guy in there. And now he's pretty like the most popular Batman villain.
Oh yeah, definitely. So according to variety.com, make of this what you will. Joker becomes public domain in 2036. So we got a little while, but at least the bright side is that at least that it will be in our lifetime because
Yeah.
going back to what I mentioned about Sonic, excuse me, Sonic's not going to go public domain until 2085, I believe. So yeah, definitely by then we're going to be dead. So
Yeah, I don't know if I'll be, but I don't know. I'll be 85 by then, so I hope that I'm still alive. But we'll
hope so.
we'll see. Yeah, yeah. But Joker, yeah, 2036. I'll be turning 36 that year, so that's like a perfect age to play the Joker, I think. So yeah, I'll be ready and waiting.
Okay, yeah, yeah. You're just gotta, keep your fingers crossed,
That's it, man.
and yeah, and I mean, it would be interesting if somebody tried to make that into a horror movie. It's because I mean, you could argue that the Joker movie, like with Joaquin Phoenix, already kind of is a horror film. So
Yeah, I mean, yeah, somewhat. I feel like you could make a really gory Joker horror film. Like if you look at obviously some of the shit he does in the comics, like cutting off his own face and stuff like that, like and putting it back on. That if you did that and show, you know what I mean, and it was graphic, that would definitely would become a horror film. Then I think so. You could really, if you really wanted to delve into that world and make a horror version of the Joker, it could be amazing. I think that. But there's so many films. Like, I've got a bit obsessed with it. I think ever since playing Tigger, really. I've got a bit obsessed with like looking at what would be cool as a horror, and like for example, I'm obsessed with the idea of like Jurassic Park being a horror film, and I've heard a few people say this now, And I just think, like, I'm a big Jurassic Park fan. I have been since I was God knows when, since I was really young. And yeah, now I'm older and I'm obsessed with like horror films, and I've obviously been in like, public domain horror films. I love the idea of, yeah, like a Jurassic Park, or just not Jurassic Park, like just a dinosaur horror film. I feel like there's so much opportunity there for really gory, dark survival sort of horror film with like a group of survivors and they're in like dinosaur infested lands. I think that'd be
Mhm.
really cool.
Which is actually pretty ironic that you mentioned that, because Jurassic Park is based off of a book, and I have read the book, and yeah, the book is way more violent than the movie is, and
Yeah.
yeah, and the book definitely is more like a horror movie, and so
Yeah.
and so yeah, and so if they ever try to make a new Jurassic Park adaptation and have it
Mhm.
be more faithful to the book, I mean, yeah, I could see that being a horror film, and knowing that dinosaurs are in the public domain, since that
Yeah.
dinosaurs aren't really something that you can copyright
Yeah.
unless if
65
on
million years ago, you'd hope so, wouldn't you? Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I mean, now if it's the Jurassic Park versions of the dinosaurs, yes, that is definitely not in the public domain. But
Yeah.
but yeah, dinosaurs
But
in
you can
of
do,
themselves.
yeah, I think you can do what you want with a T-Rex. Do you know what I mean? As long as it's not Rexy, the one from Jurassic Park. But yeah, I just think I
Mhm.
just kind of obsessed with that idea at the moment. Just keep looking at like stuff online about dinosaur, like the new Jurassic World coming out. I just think that's just such a maybe. I think it's been done before, but like if someone really made it like a real gory sort of like even there's like little moments in Jurassic Park, like is it the Dilophosaurus? I think when he's in the car with the guy who's
Yep.
grabbing the canisters, and obviously he has like the thing
Yep.
come out. That as a kid used to scare me. Like even though you don't see what happens in the car, you just see it shake, and I think you see blood splatter, don't you, on the windows. But like that, if they really showed what happened in that car, like stuff like that, like him ripping him to shreds, that'd be so like that'd be an amazing scene in a horror film. So I think it will happen. I think there'll be like a big production company that says, right, we're gonna do a horror version of a dinosaur film, and I think it'd be a
Mhm.
massive success. I think it'd be great.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And then with all that said, you definitely will love the Jurassic Park book. It's because at that same scene in the book, there is this part where he is mentioning how like how that dinosaur like cut his stomach and how he could feel his intestines. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So that's what I mean. It
but
could
yeah,
go
the
anywhere. Like you
Jurassic
can
Park
make
book.
it so gory. It'd be great.
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah. And so I believe that Reese Frigg Waterfield and Scott Chambers, I believe before Winnie the Pooh, I believe that they did do a few dinosaur films. Like, didn't they
Yeah.
do one called Dinosaur Hotel?
Yes. Yeah. That does ring a bell. Obviously, I didn't know them before Winnie Two. Like obviously, my
Right.
first interaction with them was purely because of Tigger. So I'm not my knowledge on what they did before. I'm not too sure. I think they done. I think there's a few dinosaur films. I think, or was it a crocodile one or something? I'm not too sure to be honest. But yeah, I think maybe more than me about the dinosaur ones. But yeah, I feel like it's just a good concept. I think it's a concept that will continue to sell. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't think it's gonna be something like any Jurassic Park film that comes out, Jurassic World film that comes out, any other dinosaur film that comes out that looks like good and it's like maybe a horror version, whatever. I feel like people are always going to watch it. Do you know what I mean? It's a concept, it's an idea. It's not going to die out anytime soon. So I feel like people want to see these kind of movies. So yeah, any
Mm-hmm.
sort of big monster stuff. Do you know what I mean? It's always a winner. I think.
Yeah. Yeah, and and out of all prehistoric creatures, dinosaurs definitely are the ones that sell the most. So
Yeah, and obviously all the mutated ones they make now, and all the mutant making their own versions of him and stuff like that. Obviously, in the more recent films, I think it's a cool concept as well. So yeah, I think it's something that will happen. I think, and it'll do really well.
oh yeah, certainly. So yeah, so I don't want to take up too much of your time, but yeah, I definitely really greatly appreciate you coming back on.
Yeah,
And
thanks, man. I
so
appreciate it. It's been a good chat about
yeah,
dinosaurs and then Batman and stuff. You know, what I mean, can't go wrong with that. So yes, it's been good. I've enjoyed
oh yeah,
it.
certainly. But
Yeah.
yeah, I definitely was not expecting us to be talking about dinosaurs.
Yeah, I know we all about Tigger and stuff like that, but then we are talking about Dilophosaurus, so you know what I mean? You never know.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, life is full of surprises, right?
that's it, man. But thank you so much for your time. Really enjoyed being on here again, and I'll probably talk to you in the future.
Oh yeah, certainly.
Yeah.
You have a fantastic day.
You too, man. Thank you. Cheers, bud.